Hey guys, welcome to book review, I think number 43. Today it's going to be Child of the Jungle, the true story of a girl caught between two worlds by Sabine Kuegler. Alright, so what this book is about is it's about a girl whose parents moved to West Papua, not New Guinea, but Guinea. Maybe it is New Guinea. West Papua New Guinea, which is the easternmost part of Indonesia, but ethnically is more tied to like Papua New Guinea and even the Aborigine people of Australia, and much less to sort of the Asian mainland, I guess you would say. Well, anyway, what made this book interesting, I think, is that it wasn't a travel book, and it wasn't primarily about this girl in her adult life, but rather her growing up in this remote jungle in the middle of New Guinea, which is one of the most remote, backwards is condescending, most isolated parts of the world that people really live in the Stone Age. Like I said, that may sound condescending, but they really do. It's, bows and arrows and thatch huts and subsistence hunting agriculture. Not even agriculture, it's more, even before that, it's more hunter-gatherer, nomadic, live off the jungle kind of people. But I think what made it an interesting book was because most of her observations, she obviously wrote the book as an adult, but because most of her observations are when she was from a child, she could later reflect upon how these may or may not have been trends of the larger society there, but weren't affected by those in sort of the immediate circumstances. Most of her immediate circumstances were such as, we went to go play in the river with these native boys who had never learned swimming as a fun time or as a play time, and we kind of taught them that. Where, there's a little anthropological, I guess you would call it, analysis there, but for the most part it was just her interacting with her environment. It's just that unlike most of us who live in suburbia, wherever, USA, Europe, wherever you're viewing this from, her just immediate environment was a jungle in New Guinea. So really that's kind of primarily what the story entailed. Of course, she would talk about different things, such as kind of the fun times, like I said, the swimming, or they would play tag. They introduced tag, and I think what they called it, some sort of chasing games with these children, or truth or dare, stuff like that. And then she had the moments of terror, which you have moments of terror as an adult, but you're kind of forced to, through time, to kind of put them in perspective to the rest of your life. Whereas when they had a war party right outside her house where these two tribes in this remote village were threatening to attack one another literally 20 meters from her bedroom, and these threats would go on hour after hour after hour, head to head like this, until they either backed off or injured somebody, or I think in one case, one of them actually got killed on one of these numerous war things. And of course, as an adult, that would be terrifying, but you could say, okay, this is part of the culture, maybe something that needs to be changed or not changed, but that's what it is. But for a child, that's very sort of traumatic. Let's see, couple of the other things. Well, I guess the first thing I should cover is who this tribe was. And it's the Fayou tribe, which, if if I can get to the right page, is in kind of a central swampland of West Papua. So, kind of, where's this map? Here you go. Kind of southwest of Jayapura, which is the main city in West Papua, largest city, about 200,000 people. Like I said, Papua New Guinea is kind of made up of these huge mountains, but also near the coastal regions, kind of these huge swamps. And this area was a very swampy land. Previous to her father coming across these Fayou people, they had not previously been in contact with any Western influence. So particularly the first few months there were, it was like being landed on Mars or something. And she also said that there were like 3 or 4 different tribes, and they kind of, the Fayou was kind of like the larger tribe, but then like the smaller tribes kind of fought among one another, kind of the sub-tribes. But when they arrived, the tribes set aside some of their warring and eventually all of their warring towards the end of the book, in order to help these people out. Now, one thing that I kind of liked, kind of didn't like about the Kuegler family was they were acting both as anthropologists and more specifically linguists for this Fayou tribe, but also kind of like missionaries. I don't think their primary objective was missionary, but they did bring particular messages, not necessarily of even conversion. It was very kind of light, but there was sort of a subtle Christian influence that these people were trying, that the author's family, the Kueglers, were trying to have on these Fayou people. And I guess because of, I don't know, my idealism, maybe they shouldn't have. Of course, she also mentions in the book that a lot of the things that they helped teach these people bettered them in their life, specifically messages of peace and messages of, just not killing one another, or preserving local storytelling or tradition, which was something that they weren't doing, that these people were kind of dying out. And that through the encouragement of the Kueglers, ironically, the native storylines and culture passed down from generation to generation actually became stronger. As per Mrs. Sabine, there's just so many things that go on in this book. Like each one of these chapters is like 3 or 4 pages, and they just kind of tell little interesting stories, which I guess is good when you're a little kid. This isn't really a super analytical book. It kind of talks about, the friends she had and some of the things they did. She was a huge collector of exotic species, I guess you would say. Not the big ones, but the small ones, like little birds or little like marmot type animals, and especially like bugs. And she said that she would drive her mother crazy by just the number of bugs she collected. Let's see. They talked about the bow and arrow, seasons of the jungle. I can just read some of these the chapter titles, and you can probably get a good idea. The discovery of the Fayou, boat excursions. There was a time when normally they would be transported to this remote. It wasn't even a village. It only kind of became a village after they moved there. And even then, the people were semi-nomadic, so they'd be kind of in and out of the area. The natives, the Fayou. The Kueglers always lived in one abode, but it marginally could be called a village. But to get in and out of the village, they would normally take the helicopter, but there was a time when the helicopter was broken, and so they had to take a boat in and out, which was the secondary means of transportation, I think for about 6 months or something. And one time when they were coming back, there was a huge thunderstorm and almost sunk their boat in the middle of the river. But because the Fayou were so concerned with what these people brought to the village. They had actually traced their route down the village, and a few of them saw the Kueglers sinking as they were trying to bail out their boat in this huge thunderstorm that was about to sink their canoe and put them in the drink and possibly kill them or strand them or just put them in extreme dire straits. And the fire actually saved their life there. Yeah, see, animal collection. She talks a lot about her friends, like her friends Faiza, and kind of what happened with her friends kind of is similar to what happened, the variety of things that happened with our friends in the West. Like, one friend moved away and got married, another friend stayed in the village, another friend, I think, died. Ori, towards the end of the book, that was a close friend that died. So, you just get a variety of human experience. It just happens to be that these human experiences are out in the middle of the jungle. There was also sort of the idyllic moments, such as when they came across this river. So they have the main river, which I can't remember the name of, but that was kind of free-flowing but brown and just kind of like a average jungle stream river kind of thing. A little bit swampy, yes, but also enough that they could go swimming. But then they found about 2 miles up from this house this substream that went off the main river and was crystal clear and actually came out of a cave, so it was cold. So it came out of a cave, it was cold, it was crystal clear, you could see the bottom, and there were orchids that completely surrounded the outside of where the water came out, kind of this waterfall out of this cave, and there were orchids all around, and it was just very idyllic. It was really great. Let's see. Yeah, he talked about malaria and how she almost died from malaria. In general, okay, so I'm kind of rambling, but the main thing I say of this book is it kind of tells little appetizers or little stories, but in the end, is enough of a portrait of their time in this place that it adds up to being a good book. It isn't just completely all these loose ends. Maybe a little low on the analytical side, just in terms of like the political perspective, or how the Fayou fit into other tribes in the region, or something like that, or how there is a lot of talk about how they fit into modern society, but it's more just kind of the very surface kind of stuff. But once again, this is a kid that lived there, so you can only it's almost good, because I feel like a book that would become too analytical would lose a lot of the charm that this book has. That because this woman talks about her childhood, you do get just sort of a sense of everyday life of the things that made up her time there. And anyway, the last 20 some odd pages talk about her move back to Germany, which is where this book was originally written in German. It's actually where her parents are from. And how she kind of fit back into culture. Chateau Bey-la-Cid alone, and kind of when you've never seen a true grocery store in your entire life, and you live a very subsistence life. Now, they did have food. I don't think they ever really starved, but there was never like large quantities of food on hand in storage. So when you see like a grocery store for the first time and there's literally aisles and aisles and aisles and aisles of food, you can just imagine the cultural shock and the things a kid might think. It was particularly mentioned that her brother Christian saw the chocolate candy aisle and just went insane. But anyway, she had two siblings besides her parents that went out there, Christian and Judith, I should say. Yeah, I feel like I'm not doing this book justice and covering everything, but there's just a lot of really good stories about this girl's life. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I would recommend reading this if you want, if you believe, well, I guess we'll go missionary here. If you believe in what the Bible says about having the eyes of a child or looking through the eyes of a child, and if you really like cultural anthropology and seeing really one of the most remote peoples on Earth who had not been contacted before this, and how a child might see it. I mean, as the name of the book suggests, Child of the Jungle, the true story of a girl caught between two worlds. That rhymes. That should be like a rap verse. Well, anyway, yeah. So anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you around, and this is a good book. Pick it up. Indonesia, baby. See ya. Bye.